What's up, YouTube? Zach's back with another attack, and today we're going to be talking about the time that I got mugged. But first, I want to tell you about the time that I went into the doctor's office and I said, "Doc, my nose, it hurts really bad. Can you take a look at it?" And the doc takes a look at it and my nose goes,
"Hey Doc, can I borrow 20 bucks?
Just starts talking to him, and the doctor goes, "I see what the problem is. Your nose is broke."
Zach's back with another attack, so come on in and just relax. Hit subscribe and join the fun. You're Zach to the future now, son.
How's it going, YouTube? Like I said, today we're going to be talking about the time that I got mugged. This happened when I was living out in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was walking home from work. I worked at Applebee's at the time. I would walk 3 or 4 hours just to get home from work sometimes. And it was crazy. It was always a little scary. It would be like midnight before I got off, if not even later than that. So I would be walking home, not get home until like 4 in the morning. And you know, it's obviously dark outside. Who knows who's lurking? I'm just walking through the streets of Phoenix, and I did usually have music going to drown out everything and distract myself from stuff. I tried not to keep a lot of money on me and stuff, but I did this many times with no issues. The more times I did it, the more comfortable I got. So, you know, I kept doing this and it wasn't a big deal until one time I got all the way home and I decided that I was hungry. It was almost midnight. It was about 10 till midnight. So instead of making the turn to where I go to my house, I just kept on walking and I went to the Jack in the Box, which had a lobby that was open until midnight. Now listen, guys, I just wanted me 2 tacos. Those Jack in the Box tacos, they're part of the reason why this belly is here, if you know what I mean. So I get all the way to this Jack in the Box and they're just about to close. I walk inside and I say, "Listen, sir, I need 2 tacos, pretty please, and thank you." And the guy gives me my tacos and I go in, sit down with them for a minute. I was gonna try and eat them there before they closed. The next thing I know, a man comes over to me and he says, "I'm a little bit short. I just need like 40 cents. Can I just borrow some change?" And so I'm like, "I don't have any change. I'm sorry, sir. I can give you $1, I guess." And I'm a nice guy. I am a guy that tries to help people out whenever I can. When I saw homeless people, I tried to give to them. I tried to do whatever I could to be the best person I possibly could. So this man asked for 40 cents. I figured I'll just give him $1, you know? He wants some tacos too. Who doesn't love these Jack in the Box tacos? So I pull out my wallet and I open it up, and what does he see but a wad of cash? And I pull out a $1 bill and I hand it to that fine sir, and he takes it, but he saw all the rest of my money and I didn't know that at the time. I thought nothing of it. He went up and paid for his food and the store closed. So I took my tacos and I left the building. I started walking back home and I decided to stop at a bus stop. Every little bit on the road there is a bench and it's got a covering and you can just sit down and wait for a bus or sit down and rest for a minute. Sometimes homeless people sleep on them. But once again, I walked around these streets in the middle of the night many times and it was never an issue. You know, I'd been walking around at 3 or 4 in the morning, so I thought nothing bad was gonna happen at midnight. But I sat down on this bench and I pulled out my tacos and I started eating that stuff. Man, it was delicious. But about 2 bites into my first taco, that same guy walked over to me. I was sitting in this bench and the guy walks in front of me and kind of barricades me inside of this enclosed bench area. This man, who I can barely see, pulls out a little knife thing and says, "Give me all your money." And I'm like, are you serious right now? I literally laughed a little bit, guys. I said, really? Are you... okay, we're good. And I thought he was kidding. What? Why would I think he was kidding? He had a knife thing and said, "Give me all your money." And I didn't realize it was the same dude from inside the Jack in the Box until later, but I didn't take him seriously until he took a step closer and showed me he was serious. As he got even closer to me, I kneed this guy in the nuts, and I took off running. I was able to get past him, and I ran across the street. Of course, this is the one time that no cars are driving down the roads. This is Phoenix, Arizona. There's so many people. How is there not anybody driving down the roads at this point? But there was nobody. I was hoping somebody would drive by and see me, but no. And of course, no cars continued to come, so the man was able to run after me. Now is probably a good time to tell you that I had a backpack on filled with my laptop and a keyboard and some other stuff for school, so it was pretty heavy. Now, I ran across the street. Luckily, there was a hospital right across the road from that bench that I was on. But as I was running, I got across the street to the parking lot of the hospital and realized, why am I wearing this bag? There's a guy chasing me. I'm not gonna run with a 40-pound bag strapped to my back. So I slip one arm out and I throw it on the ground and I keep on running for my life. And man, I get to the doors of the hospital, and there are those doors where as you approach, they slide open, and I expect to whoop, get my way in and get to safety. But guess what, guys? Guess what happens next? The doors don't open. Turns out these doors don't open after a certain time, and midnight is past that time. So here I am panicking. I'm like, I'm about to die. These doors didn't open. This was my only real plan. Inevitably, the guy catches up to me. He gets to the doors of the hospital where I'm at, and he kind of throws me to the ground. I'm actually wearing a dress shirt like this. We did have to wear dress shirts at the time at Applebee's, and so he ripped my shirt, which was good. Might sound weird, but that was good because I was able to cover my face with my shirt, and I held it up a little bit and kind of got inside of it because he still had this knife thing. And I did get a little bit of a mark on my chest, and I got another little mark on my face, but more importantly, he just started punching me in the face, and I was on the ground just trying to protect myself as much as I possibly could, but he just starts wailing me in the face. I got a few hits in, but I was more worried about protecting myself. You know, if this was something that was going to be a life or death situation, I'm not worried about fighting off this guy. I was in fight or flight mode, and I was just trying to fight for my life. So what happens is the doors open a few minutes later, and the security guard is standing there for the hospital. He scares the guy off, and the guy runs across the parking lot, grabs my backpack, and keeps running. This security guard starts chasing him down, and he realizes, as well as I did, that a 40-pound bag is not the best for running. So he dropped the bag and continued on his way. He actually got away, and the security guard came back, the police were called, and they showed up, and they insisted that I went into the hospital. I was very stubborn, didn't have insurance. I said no, I didn't want to go to the hospital, but after them telling me several times to go to the hospital, I decided I would see what was up. They said that I wouldn't have to pay for anything, so not having insurance wouldn't matter. So I went ahead and got checked out. They said I had a broken nose and some other lacerations and just general bruising, stuff like that. And they kind of sent me on my way, gave me a prescription for some painkillers, and that was the first bone I had ever broken. A few days later, the police officer comes to my house, and I have to point out the guy that mugged me in a lineup. And let me tell you, they make it seem so dramatic and easy in movies and TV shows. They take them to a room, and it's a whole lineup of people, and you can say, that's the guy. But no, in real life, it's like pictures, former mugshots and stuff on a piece of paper, and I'm pretty sure these were in black and white if I remember correctly, and I had to point out the one that was the guy who mugged me in black and white and what he used to look like in a mugshot. It was not easy. I barely remembered what the guy looked like anyway, but I did point out the right guy. And what happened was they were able to go back to that Jack in the Box, look at the footage of him while he ordered using that $1 that I gave him, and they were able to catch him. Turns out that he was on drugs when he did this, some kind of heroin and stuff like that. I don't know exactly what was going on, and to a certain extent I think only he does, but I ended up facing him in court, and he apologized to me for what he did. He said he was trying to get clean and he was using time in jail. And he did have a wife and a kid, so I felt bad and I accepted his apology. Hopefully it was sincere, but I don't live there anymore, so any fear I have of him finding me when he gets out or any kind of running into him again, things like that aren't a real worry anymore. But definitely, after the fact, that stuff started running through my head, especially before they caught the guy. I was definitely worried about the consequences and the repercussions that could come from this. If they didn't catch him, I could never go to that Jack in the Box again. And I love me those tacos, man. So guys, the moral of the story is, don't be a person who's nice by showing the money you've got. If you're gonna be the person who gives people money when they ask, maybe keep $1 or $2 in your back pocket so you can give that without showing any other money you have. Or just say no, as mean as that might be. Sometimes it's the better way to go, maybe. Or if you really want to be nice, maybe just use a card. And if somebody wants food, buy it for them with a card, so things like this can't happen. One question you might ask is, did he get the money? And the answer to that is no. When he asked me to give him all of my money, I actually did have some change in my pocket, and I gave him all of that change. So it wasn't much, but he made off with a few cents. And that's about it. And I did have about $200 in my wallet. It was for my bills that I was paying the next day. So that was definitely my fault. Don't carry large amounts of money on you in cash. Learn from my mistakes, guys. And the next day when I went into work, my boss bought me a taser, so I guess that never happened again, and I guess the story has maybe a happy ending if getting a taser out of it and breaking a bone and having this story to tell is a happy ending. It's not the happiest ending. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to save me from this trauma and the PTSD that's going through my head. The only way to do that is to hit subscribe. But anyways, guys, I'm Zach. Don't you do crack, do Jack in the Box tacos. And I'll catch you in the future.